In this video, Aubrey, let's talk about the topic of plagiarism. And I think, especially in today's world with AI technologies emerging, my thought is number one, what is plagiarism and how to avoid it? And I don't mean how to avoid not getting caught, but what are some thoughts on what you would consider? Oh, this is definitely plagiarized. And this, maybe not so much. And this, these are the things that people should be aware of. Thoughts on that?
Well, I will come out first and say I don't know a lot about how AI and stuff works in schools
Right.
now. I have definitely seen posts online where people have just copied and pasted things directly from Chat GPT. And you can
Right.
tell it because at the very beginning of the paper, it says, "Oh, I can't write your assignment for you, but here's an example." And then they copy the whole thing in, which is just silly. Plagiarism, though, obviously, you don't want to just copy someone's work because
Okay.
there's that intellectual property reasons, there's the reasons where you have to actually know things. But on the other hand, like this is something I struggled with in school because I'd read a source and I'd be like, well, that's what I need to say. I don't see why I need to reword it, but I have to reword it. And I can't just quote my entire paper from different quotes, even if I cite it.
Right. So you're talking about learning the judicious use of paraphrasing or something like that.
Yeah, I feel like we teach that a little too much, where it's like, okay, I just paraphrased a Wikipedia article, you know? Another thing that can happen is when you're in academic settings, some people don't know until they get in trouble that you have to cite your own work. I have a friend who was published pretty early on, and she got called to the dean's office for plagiarism because she plagiarized her own paper.
Yeah, and I think that happens, and I think teachers, when I see something like that, when I see that, not that particular case, but I think that is one, where I see that as a language teacher, I see a student in class, writing at level work, and then all of a sudden I see them turn in something that is like, whoa, like level 29, syntax and critical thinking and all of these type of things. That's where for me it should be the beginning of a conversation with that student. In other words, yeah, I probably noticed that the student probably got some assistance, so forth. But I found that when I approach students, number one, I have to clearly define the boundaries of what is okay and what is not okay. And even
Yeah.
in my classes, I ask students and I tell them these are the boundaries in which you can use different AI technologies in their work as long as they give reference to it and they follow the parameters which I set.
Yeah, I don't even know what that would look like.
Well, I mean, you just mentioned about one example with a friend who, was just learning, maybe not aware of, some of these boundaries is again. But I think we both agree that plagiarism of just completely lifting ideas and claiming that they're yours. I think
Yeah.
that's important. Whether it is some type of brand name or whether it's, something even in a love letter or whatever it might be, we have to be really careful, especially like in marketing. If you find a phrase and then you lift the phrase and then produce some t-shirts, without
Yeah.
giving attribution.
Well, and this brings up a thing like with influencers. There are people I follow online. This is especially bad on TikTok, where people will clone their pages and take their content. Like there's a creator I follow. She's not verified because on TikTok it's really hard to get verified. So she has a few copycats who take her work. And I know one of them, like she herself has like 500,000 followers, and this other account has like 70,000 followers.
Wow.
And they're just taking her content. But because she's not verified, she can't do anything about it.
Well, that's happened with me for my content as well, as people have lifted it and claimed it was their own and then monetize it. That's
Exactly.
let me see.
And it's
All
hard for
right.
the
Well,
consumer too, because like it's hard to know when that's happening to a creator.
oh yeah. And then there are cases when someone has written me and said, hey, I want my money back. And I said, what are you talking about? Your app doesn't work. And I said, I don't even have an app.
Yeah.
And then I find out that someone has lifted my own recordings, even with your voice, and
Yeah.
then claimed it to be their own content and then monetize it and sell it. And for some reason, it's not working for someone. And then they come back to me and then blame me for, a
Yeah.
defective product when it wasn't mine in the first place. It was the content was, but I
Yeah.
didn't design whatever faulty product they made. So,
Yeah, exactly.
well, we could talk a lot about this, but thank you very much, Aubrey, for sharing some of your thoughts on the idea of plagiarism. I'm sure that this is going to be an issue that is going to be more and more discussed, and allowing people to understand better how to stay within the ethical and intellectual property rights of others as well.